I want to rant about habits. Breaking habits. Habits must die. Really, I can only give you kind of examples today of why habits must die. We are in a business behind the microphone of many times repeating the same things over and over and over and over and over again. Some program director, if you're at a radio station, will want you to say, for instance, the call letters over and over again. If you're doing a podcast, there are sponsors that will want you to read the same thing over and over and over again. And this is very common because by repetition we learn, and what we want the listener to learn are the high points of what we want them to get when they listen or view us. Okay, well, that's pretty simple. The issue comes in when we develop habits, because this is what we do every day. And it's not uncommon, so it's not a guilt thing, but it's something for you to watch out for. Here's a great story. I have a friend, his name is Barry, and Barry caught a virus. And that virus nearly killed him. He was in a coma for 9 months. He lost his eyesight because of this virus, and he lost functionality of his kidneys. So consequently, he's on dialysis 3 times a week. He told me this story about a clinic that he goes to because he's lost his job. Now, this clinic, they see 300 people a day. So they have some routines, and routines are good for them because it helps them process that many people to help them. So that's a good thing. However, Barry was under treatment one time, and he started feeling kind of bad, and he was talking to them saying, hey, I guess they take fluid off, and he can only have so much fluid taken off, and there's a place, a mark where it's like you take that much off and you'll perish. And a couple hours later, they came back and they weighed him, and they had taken 22 pounds of liquid off. He should have died. And they were all apologetic, but they wrote it off to the routine. They just got in a routine and they forgot to check. They lost all the emotion of what the routine was set up for. The routine was set up so that people could check things that needed to be checked and understand that that check might be the difference between life and death. Yes, we have lots of routines. Check this, check that, but know why you're doing it and make sure you're in that moment, that emotional moment when you're doing the routine, so that you can do it correctly. There's another story that I can tell you, flipping it around. So when you're talking on the radio and you're doing the exact same thing for the 1 millionth time, transitions are my big pet peeve, but it could be anything. The way you approach a story, you do it at the same time. Do you always talk about the same things all the time? Do you put the same things in the same place all the time because the routine helps you get your job done? Or somebody told you, that's excellent, do that over and over and you'll win, 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 win. The routine, if you flip it around, is just as bad for the listener because they've got a lot of things on their mind too. So if you do something the exact same way, your fan knows exactly what you're going to do. So there's the expectation, which is good, but the routine is bad because they know exactly how to tune you out. And that's not the purpose. That's not what we want. We want to reach people. The last example, and then we'll get on with it, is a grocery store. Making an aisle change or making a location change in a grocery store is a huge deal, and here's why. They set them up so that the patron, the customer, can come in and recognize where something is, and if they don't need it, they can also ignore it. So it makes their customer happier because they can get what they need to get done a lot quicker. Makes for a great shopping experience. Now, when they want something noticed in a grocery store, what do? They move it to the end of the aisle. It's called an end cap. And they put all kinds of emotional things tied to it, whether it's a price point or for summer, they might put summer things on the end aisle or some kind of new product release that helps something do something. It's always in its bigger displays. It's usually taller than the aisle and maybe longer or wider than the aisle and bright colors and big signs. In other words, it's different than the rest of the presentation. So you're striving, and that way the customer goes, hey, I'm going to notice this. The customer will notice it, and that's where most of the increases in sales come, are the coveted end cap displays. So you, in your everyday behind the mic, become an end cap display, all right?